We are now only 9 days away, or 216 hours, but who's counting, to the Switch 2 blowout. Nick, how are you feeling? Are you more excited than yesterday when we had another discussion?
I think every day, the closer we get, the more excited I am for it. So yes, I am more excited today.
That's awesome. So in case you missed it, we are doing a 10-day special series leading up to the blowout of the Switch 2, in which we discuss something different every day about the Switch 2. Nick is again joining me today to discuss how online can be made better on Switch 2, and I know we're going to have some thoughts on that. But for the rest of the week, we'll be having some special guests as well, so stay tuned as we discuss a bunch of different topics. It should be a lot of fun, again, in this build-up, the final countdown to the Switch 2. In any case, that brings us back to the core question for today, Nick, being, how can online be improved for Switch 2? Or maybe more accurately, how can it not be more improved for Switch 2, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few ways we can go with this. Like, yeah, at least, right? Like, there's a few ways we can go. First, let's go off with something like the eShop, as simple as that, right? Like, that functionality or just loading up the eShop, it's still so slow.
It's so
and for the longest time, I thought it was myself. I thought it was my internet. But seeing other people have this issue, I'm like, okay, no, this is a larger issue Nintendo needs to solve for the Switch 2.
This almost could fit into if we do an OS discussion, because I want it to be part of the OS and not a separate web app. That's why it's so freaking slow, and it gives the illusion of, like, someone having poor internet. It's like, no, your internet's fine. It's just the eShop freaking sucks on the Switch. So that absolutely needs to be improved on Switch 2.
Yeah, definitely. And then going into that as well, like the little NSO icon app at the bottom of the screen on the home screen for the Switch, I was just purchasing or unlocking icons a few minutes ago, and it's still so slow unlocking those. Like, I just want to do it in bulk, or let me click on multiple ones and do it all at once. But I'm like, no, click, wait like 2 or 3 seconds, click, wait 2 or 3 seconds. It's like, there's so many I want to unlock, but when it's that slow, it's like, come on, make it a lot faster for me.
Exactly. Once again, I think that whole NSO app is a web app, again, and it needs to be part of the OS.
Yeah.
It's such a... That whole icon's weird. Like, the in concept is not horrible, like having a central hub in which to do anything NSO related. The thing is, there's not a whole lot to do that's NSO related, and it feels largely redundant, because you already have the individual apps of the games you want to play. It's largely the missions and achievements, but again, you're saying that they're slow to do, right? So they really do need to rethink some things along those lines for Switch 2. But yeah, and I think the app could potentially be a cool place, but also I'd be fine to just find ways to take what the app is supposed to be and just have it, throughout the rest of the OS, right?
Yeah, I'd be totally fine with that. Yeah. But like, speaking of other features, what do you think they should be fixing for the Switch 2 outside of these?
Yeah, well, I guess we'll circle back to NSO then soon enough, at least, in terms of all the benefits you get with it. Because for me, as one who, most of us, I'm sure, are primarily playing games, but as one who really only loves to play games and not necessarily too much with the OSs, I need these games to have better online. Now, this is something Nintendo has been improving. I will say the recent Mario parties have actually have pretty solid online. Even though they're still peer-to-peer, they actually work really well. I'm actually shocked how well they generally work. Not flawless, but, well enough. And no online game can ever be flawless, just with how the nature of internet connections work. But there are many a time when Nintendo games kind of suck online. Even if they run well most of the time, there are still annoying things that shouldn't be there. And when it comes to games like Splatoon or Mario Kart, these really should have, or Smash Brothers, these should be the cream of the crop. These should not be having nearly as many issues as they have. And I think that for one solution, not for all of these games, but for a lot of them, would be have dedicated servers, especially in Mario Kart, which is going to have 24 players. We're paying, to their credit, and this is pretty cheap right now, but I would not be surprised if it gets a price hike. In any case, use that money for servers, because I don't want to be playing peer-to-peer with 23 other people and have someone close their system and, rage quit and cause all of us to disconnect, or have some horrible connection where we're all, like, jumping around constantly, which, even Mario Kart Deluxe has to some degree every now and then. Like, even issues with items hitting you and, it not actually being a hit, or rather, you not even seeing where it came from, or you hitting someone else, but it didn't count. It registers as a hit on your screen, but it actually wasn't a hit, so they immediately get a speed boost to compensate for it. It's all annoying and complicated, and they need to fix that after 10 years. So, I don't know if dedicated servers is necessarily the solution for all these problems, but it absolutely needs to be there for games that demand it, such as Mario Kart. F099, I'm confident that using peer-to-peer, servers, nearly flawless. It will probably be a complete mess peer-to-peer, and if it's not, and if it is somehow peer-to-peer, whatever they're doing there, they need to use for every game. But yeah, we know servers can work, and I hope Nintendo actually embraces it rather than using peer-to-peer for almost everything like they have today.
Yeah, it's just insane. Like, you mentioned those larger titles, like the Mario Kart, like the Splatoon, like the Smash Bros. When I go into those games, especially something like Splatoon, and one person disconnects, everyone just starts like teabagging, like just going into the ink, and it's just like, oh, now we just have to wait to get all kicked out and then go back to the lobby. But the thing is, like, you bring up F-Zero and Mario Party too. Like with Mario Party, when I'm playing with my family online and someone gets disconnected, they can easily join back in, and it picks up our game where it left off. I'm like, that works great.
That's
and
great.
F-Zero, I don't think I've ever had any issues of disconnecting, and if I did, I don't think it ever ruined the entire match. Like if someone else disconnected from the lobby, I don't think it ever like mess up with my experience with playing with everyone else.
Right, no, I agree. Like F-Zero 99 is as close to a flawless online experience as I've ever experienced. It's amazing. Like I've never noticed any lag in that. I'm sure it's there, and I'm sure they're covering it in some way, but I'm like, I've never noticed it. That's awesome. That's so freaking cool. And if Mario Kart can get anywhere near that, that would be amazing. But I don't know if they can without servers. So they absolutely need to start embracing servers for some of their games. And Smash Brothers, I do know that servers like for fighting games aren't necessarily the best thing, because peer-to-peer, like in a 1-versus-1 instance, for instance, is actually the best method. But Smash Brothers has other issues, like there's still lag and, delayed inputs, and it's like, why aren't they using rollback netcode like almost every other fighter on the planet is? Even other Smash-likes are using rollback, and Sakurai has addressed this before, and I think, if I remember correctly, part of the reason he mentioned was that I think it was too much of a, like it cost too much CPU power of the Switch, and it's like, okay, on Switch 2 that can no longer be an excuse. I don't care if to roll back the graphics, so to speak, a little bit of what, compared to what they could be. Just make the online good, even if it comes down to reimagining the game to some degree to work better with the idea of rollback. Do it. This is a time. I cannot deal with any more online Smash Brothers that runs horrible.
Yeah, it's 2025. The Switch 2 is coming out. It's like, please make these games run better. Like, I remember playing Smash Bros. Brawl on the Wii and how terrible that connection was.
Oh my god.
I let it go. Yeah, I let it go back then. But now, like, there should not be an excuse. No. Come on, Nintendo.
I mean, to their credit, it has gone better, but not as good, not good enough, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely improve the online for the actual gameplay. Beyond that, though, I would say also in-game communication. Like it still kind of sucks on Switch. And I will say, to their credit, I don't think the voice app is as bad as people give it crap for. And the fact that it exists shows Nintendo's open to having voice chat in their games, because it basically enables the same thing people already want. It's just an extra annoying step where you have to use your phone as a middleman, basically. So just bring in proper voice chat. Allow it, not every game has to support it, and give people options to mute people or just turn it off entirely, of course. But yeah, just let's use a headset. It's just easier, like me using one right now, right? Like, it's just more convenient. And then just better communication in general. Like, let's use a friend list for, like, sending actual messages, and you can use the headset for that too.
Yeah, the messages, let me send a simple invite that's just not... Like, that's the thing, like, I always forget there's an invite system, and it's so specific what games have them. My friends are like, wait a minute, how do you accept an invite? Like, where does the invite come from? Because we never use it. It never happens. So, yeah, make something like that happen. But like you said before, like, fix the servers in some way, shape, or form. With that happening, do you think we're going to see a price increase for NSO? And if it does happen, do you think it's going to happen for Switch and Switch 2's NSO, or is it just going to be two separate things? Like, it's probably still going to carry over in some shape or form, right?
Yeah.
But like, are they going to have like a Switch 1 price increase or just a Switch 2 price increase?
I think they have to. Like, if they increase it for one, they have to do it for the other, because they've already confirmed it's cross-compatible. Meaning, why wouldn't they just keep buying the subscription on Switch 1 and then use it on Switch 2, right? Otherwise, it'd just be a mess. You have to pay for like a specific upgrade on Switch 2. They'll make it unified, and I think if there is a price increase at all, there are other ways Nintendo could go about it, like adding a third tier with GameCube NSO support, which we'll talk more about soon, I'm sure. And you just cause that, you bump that up, right? I wouldn't be surprised if there's no price increase immediately, but I think it is coming at some point. So and
that hurts my heart so much, not having it right away, because I remember when the Switch 1 first came out, we had to wait months. For
like
that,
a year almost.
Yeah, I think it was a year. It was such a long time. So it's like, if that's really going to be what they do for Switch 2, like, I just hope they pull the Band-Aid off and say, like, hey, here's the price increase. We're doing it right away. But we've seen it before. It will probably take some time before we get there.
You'll be even better if they go in the opposite direction. NSO's now free, everyone. Like, or at least free online. That would be amazing. Like, I've heard from a friend I have that worked at Nintendo's customer service department, where I used to work forever ago at this point, and they got so many calls about the NSO also about the classic apps. People love those classic apps, you know, whether for the first time or I think often reliving their favorite memories. And I almost think you could divorce those from the actual online, where you can make it either a cheaper tier for online only, none of the apps, or, you know, just make the online free like it used to be back in the Wii Connect 24 days, and even beyond that, and just make the apps cost money, you know, and especially with all the other features the apps have now, like Nintendo Music, or, I mean, I guess you could roll that into, you know, one of the other tiers. But I think they could separate. They won't, because they're making bank off it as is.
Yeah,
I don't think they want to take the risk. And I think it's actually fairly reasonably priced for what it is. But I'm just saying it would be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. Again, like you said, it's fairly priced, especially when you're on a family plan like me with 8 other
really
people.
Good.
It's like, yeah, $10 a person. I'm like, yeah, that's a no-brainer, especially if I'm playing N64 games pretty often on the service. But yeah, like if they bring in, like you said, something, a third tier and an extra system on top of that, there probably will be a price increase, some shape or form.
Yeah, because like would they add another system, likely GameCube, to the current second tier, being the expansion pack? Or would they go a tier higher, like expansion pack? The expansion pack, expansion pack.
That's the thing, like, and that's the thing. Like, going back to my question originally, like, would they have a different price for Switch 2? Because look, we've seen this before on the new 3DS, right? When they brought in the Super Nintendo games, which again, you could buy those a la carte, but those ones were specific to the new 3DS. So that's another fear I have. It's like, oh, well, if they bring GameCube games over, maybe it is only for NSO on the Switch 2. And that might be an incentive for players to jump over and get the Switch 2 service or get the Switch 2 console to play those GameCube games.
You know, you're bringing up an actually interesting point. Like, is it possible that GameCube is handled differently? Because we already know if they handle like the current apps, or rather, they really can handle like the current apps, because GameCube games are, you know, up to 1.5 or even 3 gigabytes in some cases across multiple discs. And, you know, there's tons of games on GameCube. You're not going to be downloading a 100 plus gigabyte app on your Switch 2, I assume. So they're not going to have every game there. So there's going to have to be some a la carte, you know, management to it, just so you're not downloading everything that you probably won't ever play. And but it makes me think, like, could they explore a more virtual console like service for it, where these games are available at, you know, hopefully reasonable prices, but you actually are purchasing them individually, much like a virtual console.
Yeah, I hope that's the case. And again, like, we're in a weird territory with that, right? Because we've already gotten some GameCube games on the Switch 1, right? Like, we've got Metroid Prime, we got Thousand Year Door, we've gotten Sunshine at one point, but you can't get that anymore because that's gone. Right. So yeah, it would be nice to have that option to purchase those games like we did on the Wii and the Wii U.
Yeah, Sunshine's such a weird one, because now the NSO version would objectively be the worst version, because the All-Stars version did get enhancements. Sorry, I may have misstated earlier. The All-Stars collection got enhancements in it, which won't carry over to GameCube, unless they actually did make... You know what actually the ideal situation would be? Just make both on NSO. Like, add the original for those who really want the true purist experience, and add the All-Stars version for those who want the, you know, clearly better version. Marginally so, but with the widescreen and everything.
Yeah, that would be so weird if they went back to doing that. And they didn't give a reason why they took those games away, right? Like, when they released the collection, it's just like, hey, it's for Mario's anniversary. And that's it. Get them in some time, and then that's it. It's like, no. Yeah, that is just weird.
So, getting back to the price real quick, you know, assuming they likely will raise the price. Actually, at this point, I'm going to guess, I think they will just add GameCube to the second tier, the expansion pack, and then just increase that price. They'll probably increase the prices of both, but you know, use that as an excuse to bump them up, right? And possibly the expansion pack's priced by more. Although it does run the risk of, you know, losing people who don't want to pay that much for all those features. But I am thinking of it now, like, what else could they do to add value to it, to better justify that possibly larger price now for the expansion pack beyond just adding GameCube? Is there anything else they could do, you think, that'll justify it?
I think they go more into the realm, especially with Switch 2 games. I think Nintendo might have more of an online component with these games, or more of a DLC push for these games, right? Because, like, you look at stuff like Splatoon, like, what was the expansion for that came out maybe a year or two ago? Octo expansion was for 2. I'm trying to think the one for 3. It was like a roguelite mode, which I loved. I had such a blast for it. But the Octo expansion, that was the one that was added to the NSO tier. And same thing with the Animal Crossing DLC and the Mario Kart DLC. I could see them adding more DLC to kind of push you over into that, right?
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense when it comes to online, because otherwise you're just dividing the user base. So for a game that's already online, it makes sense to give everyone access to it for a service that they're already paying for. I mean, I know that doesn't apply to the Splatoon DLC, but I think it does, like, the Booster Course Pass, right? I think does it?
Actually, with the Booster Course Pass, I think you're still... No, so I played with friends that didn't own it, and they're still able to pick it online. But if you played offline, if you don't have it offline, you can't pick those courses.
God, that's weird. I forgot how that worked. Okay, yeah, like that's a situation where I think if you have NSO, you should just be able to get it. But I mean, it doesn't even matter almost in that case. Like, for me at least, I only play Mario Kart Online, so of course I'll be able to play on those tracks because people are selecting them. So that's where it gets kind of silly, I guess. But yes, adding more DLC-like stuff, even single-player stuff for free via the NSO service would be great. Another option for me. We already talked about F-Zero 99, which I legitimately think is one of the best online games Nintendo's ever made. It's just so well done, so fun. It got a great game essence. Give us more of that. Like, that's by far my favorite of the 99 games, with Tetris, probably being second, or 99-35 type games. Give us more games like that. That, where it allows you to be a little bit more experimental, try some new things. Like, who would think of releasing a 16-bit massive online racing game these days, right? And it's amazing.
Yeah, just reuse assets from previous games, like older games. They give people that kind of like nostalgia hit, right? But just in a new way. It's like, oh, we've raced on these courses so many times. Right. Well, wait, there's 98 other racers? Yep. I've never done that before.
Exactly. Like, imagine like piloting Super NES and then people flying around, right? It'd be hilarious. It'd be like them all coming to like a landing zone and crash into each other. Oh my god, I need this down. Nintendo, I hope you're watching this. But that could be fun. Like, yeah, do more kind of like out there, zanier stuff like this. Like, maybe, there's a possibility of that that beta tested game Nintendo was testing a little while ago. Maybe that's an NSO type thing, that is, available for free rather than for purchase.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, you make that for free, or you attach it to NSO, and then they can monetize off of it with microtransactions or something like that. I hope that's not the case, but I think if they're trying to build that game into more of an expansive universe, or something like in the lines of like a Minecraft or Roblox or Fortnite, maybe they go in that direction and add microtransactions. I'm not saying on the scale of like add celebrities or whatnot, but just add ways to kind of monetize the game.
Here's another one. Another way to add value is they do it a little bit already with I forget what they call it, the game trials idea.
Yeah, the game trials, yeah.
Yeah. Upgrade it. Make it more so that they're, available for a month, multiple games at a time. Not necessarily like the latest games, but like, get some games on there for a reasonable amount of time. Because like, I'll often see something like the day before it leaves. I'm like, well, great. I had no time to really try that, And the Switch itself does a terrible job of informing you of this stuff anyway. And for a week, it's like, is it even worth it? Like, if I get invested in this game, then I'm gonna lose it soon. And that's probably part of the incentive. They want you to go out and buy it. But I wish it would just expand it. It doesn't have to be full-on Game Pass or anything, but just give us longer, more meaningful trials of these games. I feel like, just so it doesn't feel like I'm under the gun constantly.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, like, it's so weird to find out. Like, maybe you're searching on Twitter and it's like, oh, you got to play this game for a whole weekend, but wait a minute, I'm finding out on Sunday, and I'm only going to be able to play it for a few hours. But no, like, it would be great if they allowed us to do that with older titles that have been out for such a long time, that the games that they never put on sale, right? Like, obviously this is saying a little too much, but maybe like a Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild that they let you play for like a month or so. You'll probably beat the game in that amount of time, so it's less of a trial. But again, like, if they're going to raise the price of NSO, it's like, yes, they need to have more incentives like this for it.
Right, exactly. Although it brings me back to one idea we had discussed, one of our much earlier Switch 2 videos. Now that Nintendo Music is on there, what if with us paying for it, what if it has Switch 2 functionality and you can bring in like that music tracks, whatever music you want, as like part of a theme for the Switch 2. You turn on your system, you hear Link to the Past Overworld immediately, right?
I would love that, and that would allow me to, or want me to use kind of like the music app a lot more, because I bet, like myself and a lot of other people, that we don't use it that often anymore. Even though I still have it on my phone, it's like you get an update. What is it, like every week they add a new like soundtrack or something
every
like
Monday,
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, every Monday, and it's like, okay, I check that out, and maybe I'll listen to a song or two, and then put it down for quite some time. But if it ties into my NSO, like, or my Switch 2, and it's like on the themes, that would be fantastic. Like, I'd be going back and forth between them.
What would be really cool is if like they did what they did way back on the Wii. It's crazy the Wii did this and they haven't done it since. Where they had like an MP3 player built into Excite Truck and I think a few other games, and you could listen to any music you wanted off the SD card. And how cool would it be if they incorporated functionality like that in the games where it makes sense? Like in Smash Brothers, let me listen to whatever track I want from the series in Smash, Like, how cool would that be? I could bring in anything. It doesn't have to be in the game.
Yeah, I would love that. I know I had no idea that like, Excite Bike or Excite Truck had that, but like for example, for me, I would add custom songs to Wipeout on PlayStation all the time, and I would get into such a zone because maybe I would just download like a whole like DJ set or something like that, and I would just go into the game and keep listening to it and keep playing. And yeah, to have that for Smash Bros, where everyone is here, like these songs do fit to these games. It's like it makes sense.
It would be really cool. I think it'd be a really smart way of synergy, right, for all these all these devices. Speaking of synergy, I suppose one other. This is a minor thing, but I do kind of wish that I wish it would improve how these classic apps work. Actually, in a few different ways. Number one is I'm tired of there being so many freaking apps. Like I wish that the NSO icon was just a single app that gave me all the games at once. Like because I'll have a Game Boy app that gets buried, whereas the Super NES app is up front. I'm like, oh wait, I gotta go to maybe I have to go to the NES app instead. Like where's this one game even? Sometimes for those who didn't grow up in these eras, it can be hard to remember which games are where, right?
And you say that, and it's like there's so much of these apps, and on top of that, you're forgetting N64, and then there's the N64 mature app. So it's like, what if they do have GameCube? Is there going to be GameCube and GameCube mature app? It's like, no, there's way too much.
Then there's Game Boy and Game Boy Color in one, but then you have Game Boy Advance in another, even though Game Boy Color itself is almost its own system. The whole thing makes very little sense. I would love if they found a way to streamline that and make it easier and faster to access these games. You just have either one app for everything, or two, something I like the idea of is having like a second row beneath your main game row where you see where it contains like the NSO box arts you played most recently.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I think that'd be neat. Any other ideas you have for online they can add, improve, or whatever?
Yes, I do have one. It's a major one. All the other companies are doing it a million times better than Nintendo. Please fix the mobile app. Because I love checking my friends when I'm on PlayStation or when I'm on Switch. That's the first thing I do. I look to see who's playing what. But even when I do that on my phone with my PlayStation app or my Steam Deck or my Steam app, but when I click the Nintendo app, the only things you can do is you can click on your friend. There's no invites. There's no messages or anything. And then they have like those apps for specific games. It's like Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3, Animal Crossing, and Smash Bros. And there's barely anything you can do. Like, let me purchase games through there instead of going to like a web browser on my phone to purchase games. Let me purchase games for my friends because I would love to surprise them. Hey, a game's on sale. Let me just buy it for you. And then you go onto your Switch too. And it's like,
that was on
right
the Wii too. You can do it on the Wii. Yeah,
like that's I'm right there with you. I had no idea it was a thing on the Wii because I guess I never thought about buying games for my friends at that time. But now that it's become a big thing on other platforms, it's like, please let me do that. Making the app have more purpose.
It's weird. It's kind of this weird hodgepodge right now. Like it also acting as like a Splatoon 3 app and everything, which I guess like that's the kind of instance where I'm like, no, Splatoon 3 should probably be its own app, and have NSO be its own contained, focused thing. And it's very confusing how they've handled this, but yeah, I agree with you. Just give more functions in general to what we can do with our friend list. Whether it's using it on the go with a phone or hitting up a friend with a friend invite and a quick message from in game. They just need to improve it. Like one thing I really dislike about how the friend list works right now is it's so out of the way. It's so easily forgotten. Like it feels like it feels like they hit it in the settings. Like I have to go out of my way to activate it. It's like it should just be a tab. It should just be like a simple tab I can tab over to and have instantly.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like you said, it is almost hidden, right? Like you have to click on your own profile to see your friends, list. It's like, why is it so hidden? On PlayStation, it is its own separate tab. It's like, oh, I can just scroll down, click it. Oh, there's all my friends. I don't have to click on my own profile to get to my own friends.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, I have a feeling that I think some of our complaints will be partially addressed. I think the friend list will be improved. I'm not expecting my hopes for the NSO apps to be, have a simplified interface, but I wish that they would. But I cannot stress enough, though, how potentially excited I am for GameCube NSO to finally come, especially with the recent hints, like the controller patent that came out recently, seemingly being for GameCube, basically confirming it's in the works for Switch 2. And that'll be a lot of fun. There's a fantastic library on there, including a lot of third-party games. I really hope Nintendo works with third-party developers to get their games on here, even if it does require purchases for some of them. And I can't wait to revisit those games. F-Zero GX, Wind Waker, especially because HD's not on Switch 2 yet, or Switch yet. And all kinds of games. Smash Melee for everyone.
Yeah, I still go back to my GameCube all the time. Like, I was playing Sonic Riders recently, and again, like, there's so many games on the GameCube that just aren't playable anywhere else. Like, throw me a bone for some Star Fox games, right? Star Fox's Soul, or like you said, like Melee or something like that. These multiplayer hitting games that would be so good on the Switch too. And speaking of the Switch too, and like N64, NSO, or Game Boy Advance, or all those other ones, do you think they would add online play to the GameCube games for NSO?
Oh, absolutely. I think they would, in the exact same way they have for 64 and Game Boy Advance. You know, it's actually really funny. I was just thinking about this literally before we recorded, because I was thinking, on the one hand, it'd be awesome if they could somehow build an actual online functionality. They would never go that far. It'd be a lot of work. But on the other hand, it occurred to me that, well, that means eventually those servers would get turned offline and the game would be basically, useless. But thanks to Nintendo's hesitancy in embracing online back in the GameCube era, it means we can finally play them online, even through this weird workaround interface that might have some legs still, but it technically is online. It's still online, or will be for the first time, and that could conceivably last forever, because it's just, treating your system as a host and everyone else is basically landing into it, or not even landing but like connecting to it.
Yeah, and you bring that up because there's only a few games on like the original GameCube that use the LAN adapter, and I looked over the list. So Japan has a few more, but I think over here in the US we only have a few. But I looked over the list and it's like, Double Dash. I haven't played that on LAN with 8 other players.
So
that
good.
would be so much fun to do.
So good. Oh my god. That would probably be a total nightmare to get working online with 16 people. One failure point will ruin it for everyone. I don't care though. We're gonna find a way to make that work. Oh man, they have to have some way of allowing LAN functionality to still work. Even if it's just for local, I don't care how they get it to function. Make it work, because that game is unparalleled when it comes to multiplayer for Mario Kart.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So also, do you think they would, because I know a few GameCube games, I know a few N64 games had the widescreen. Do you think they would have any functionality or support for that for the Switch 2 if GameCube games are brought over?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The 64 has that too. So yeah, they would definitely, some 64 games have widescreen Banjo-Tooie, and it looks shockingly good. So I'm sure they would allow for that as well. That reminded me though, they have to get rid of the borders for games that aren't widescreen. I'm so sick of them. Let me turn them off in every game. NSO or 64, Super NES, Game Boy. Let me turn off those borders. I don't know why they're permanently there. Even though they're, fairly minimal, they're still annoying me. Just let me have it black or expand the screen to fully take it. Although, real quick, sorry, going back to your LAN question, it did occur to me that through the nature of how the LAN works, they actually could work much like it did originally. Yeah, where everyone is, everyone have their own copy of the game. So maybe it will work better online. I know people created a service called Warpipe years and years ago to play Double Dash online. So I think it's already proven that it could work. I just don't know, how bad the latency could be. But
that would be a dream. I would go back, and I think my love for Double Dash would kind of recoup or something would happen. Yeah, exactly. Like sure. I would definitely fall in love with it again. But like you said, going back to your point with the borders, I was playing on my GameCube recently, and I was playing with the Game Boy Advance Game Boy player.
Right.
And they allow you to adjust the size. They allow you to use custom borders on that. I'm like, why isn't that on NSO? Why is it still just the black borders?
Nintendo's options are getting worse. Even the Super Game Boy 30 years ago had that. I made a whole cool bits about this recently. It's so dumb. I don't get it. But yeah, hopefully with incoming things, we hope, I assume, we'll hopefully get border changes too. So, yeah, can't be that much work. Anyways, Nick, any final thoughts on online for Switch 2?
I just hope they fix it. That's my biggest, like, even if they don't add GameCube or all these additional things, I just hope it's better than the Switch. That's my biggest hope.
Yeah, honestly, the most important thing for me is just better online. We're paying for it. Let's have it work as well as it should. In Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, and wherever else. Splatoon, of course. Splatoon 3, if I recall correctly, Splatoon 1 on the Wii U still had in a way, the best online of them all, because it had a more frequent tick rate or refresh rate, whereas the other games, especially on, I think Splatoon 3, maybe both, on Switch, have a worse tick rate, and so you're getting less, there's basically larger latency between actions, and that's something that, again, would be better especially for such a fast-paced shooter, so that's something else they can improve, so...
Yeah, something like Splatoon, it's so quick. It's like, why? It just drives me crazy. It drives me crazy.
Me too. All right, Nick. I think we discussed online and NSO long enough for Switch 2. Here's hoping for the best. Here's hoping some of our predictions, or hopes rather, at least come true. We'll find out in just 9 days. And of course, this is not the end for us. We have 8 more videos coming up, including some with special guests. Stay tuned. It should be a ton of fun. And we have a lot of fun topics and guests lined up. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, Nick, where can people follow you at to find out more about you? Or what you do?
Besides here on the channel, you can follow me on my own channel, which is Steftendo. That's STEFTENDO. You can check out some of my shorts there or some past live streams. But yeah, if you don't see me here, you can see me over there.
Yeah, definitely check it out. We'll link to it in the description below. On that note, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll catch you later for day 8. Bye!